Today's episode is sponsored by our friends at PGX Comics Grading Services. Hey, unplug from big business corporate CGC. Take our hobby back from the executives. Give PGX a try. Hello and welcome to another exciting episode of Codename Elvira 2, the Gen X for Gen X channel. I'm your presenter, Shabu Are You. Well, recently we just had our monthly comic book pickup episode. Now we're doing our monthly graded comic book unboxing. And of course, thanks to our 8-year sponsor, friends, PGX Grading Services. Now, if you're new to this channel and you stumbled here, you're like, why is this guy promoting PGX? Didn't I hear all of this bad stuff? Well, look at the sources of who you're hearing those bad stuff are. Because for all these years I've been doing these unboxings, not once did I say that the books were bad quality, not graded correctly, the turnaround time, and the price hikes. All that stuff could be allocated to CGC Grading Services. Why? Because CGC is a corporation. They do not care about these characters. They do not care about these books. They do not care about you as a fan. They do not care about this wonderful hobby. They care about their monthly fiscal earnings report and their board of directors. So, with that in mind, why do these people like Bry's Comics, Very Gary's Comics, badmouth or comic book investment? Why do they say bad things about CGC? Well, that's because they don't work for a living. They flip comic books. So what they do is they'll badmouth the competition, and CGC gives them 20% off their grading. So they get a little bit of a kickback for badmouthing. This way the corporation is not held for badmouthing the competition. They could continue on their monopolistic ways, so to speak, and, dictate. Basically, they're going unchecked. And that, as a fan, as a collector, as someone that's looking to pass this down to another generation, should be very concerned. So, I have left CGC, and I've been using PGX for the past good part of 8 years. I've been happy. Very happy. I've not been affected by price increases every few months like CGC has. They have some quality issues. CGC has authentication issues. CGC has. And just disregard for the consumer as CGC has. Now I say that, and then I do my monthly graded magazine unboxing, and I have to use CGC. Dealing with the devil. So damn if you do, damn if you don't. But this is to let you, as a viewer, as a fan, to know that they are viable options besides CGC. Don't listen to what these talk boxes saying, and because they're getting kickback at the back end. You're not. Ooh, that sounds weird, but they're getting a kickback that you're not seeing for bad mouthing the competition. You have documented video proof of all these years from me showcasing all the books, and I've had no complaints whatsoever. And some of them I do resell, and I have repeat customers. Like, I wish I knew. I want to use this company too. So thank you, PGX, for all the years of support, all the years of excellent human customer service that no other company has provided. And even when the hurricane hit, they called to make sure I was okay. And they said, we'll hold your books until you get settled down. Just let us know. And they were kind enough to do that. So that's why this episode took a little while. And we haven't done PGX graded comic unboxings for a while, is because I had a lot of other shit to do. And they were just kind enough. And this was a big load. This was like almost 20 books that came in this delivery. So we're going to break it out for a few months and showcase all the books, because they all deserve your attention. And they're just a fun way to look at some iconic books, reminisce. You don't have to buy anything. If you do want to pick up these, these are suggestions for you to pick up and invest in now. As much as I'm all about comics as fun, as a hobby, there is the fact that it is a monetary aspect to this hobby now, and you can't be so naive. So I've always told people, especially these guys, you need to have a proper investment portfolio. But at the same time, as we've seen, it's good to have tangible assets in your investment portfolio. And I'll show you what I mean by that. Yes, you need to have stocks, bonds, IRAs, mutual funds, but you should also have some tangible stuff. Real estate is good. It's always king to me. Vintage cars is good. And even some selected comic books are. But to put all your eggs in one basket is stupid. So I would highly recommend talking to an investment banker to help you with those decisions. But if you just want to hear from a former auditor, that's what I think. Diversify, have most of your stuff in the proper channels, but do have a few tangible stuff that is easy liquidated. Let's put it that way. So with that, this month is kind of the books we're going to showcase. It's going to be fun for you who've been watching the pickup episodes, because a lot of these books you've seen in their ungraded form when I picked them up off the street or, various comic shops or online or thrift stores, what have you. So we get to see the full cycle of these books when they came in to what their final and that's the fun part about it. And so the first book we're going to take a look at, I had mentioned in our recent episode, the comic book pickup episode, when I was talking about how Dave Stevens and the whole pinup art form has kind of gone a renaissance, rejuvenation. Before it used to be frowned upon. Now it's being celebrated. And again, that is a taboo subject all to its own, because is it adult, pornographic, inappropriate? But at the same time, you got to remember, like all of our airplanes or military airplanes, like Memphis Belle, whatever, they all had pinups on the side of the aircraft. And they're not real people. They're drawings. And just like any art, you go to an art museum, you look at the Mona Lisa, you take it in, you enjoy it, and you move on, right? So this is not like, somebody like, I don't know what they're doing, but if they do, they got problems. So it's just an art form. Appreciate the art form, enjoy it, and then move on with the rest of your day. So take it for what it's worth. I think it's okay. I'm a red-blooded male. I'm not, but with nowadays the way things are, I'm okay with everything. But is that okay to be okay with everything? Like, I don't know what the hell is right or wrong anymore. But I just know to be me and to be genuine, authentic, with no malice in my heart whatsoever. I think if you go about life like that, you're not going to be hurting anybody intentionally. So anyway, the first book we're going to take a look at is Elvira, House of Mystery, issue number 11. This book, especially after 2023, 2024, has been skyrocketing in value. Why? Because artist Dave Stevens, due to that documentary that came out on Amazon, I think, where it just kind of documents his lifestyle, Dave Stevens, suddenly books were commanding high, significant jump from just a few years ago. It's because people understand now and appreciate his artwork. He's the guy who created The Rocketeer. So if you watch that Disney movie in the 90s, Dave Stevens was the guy who created The Rocketeer. And then The Rocketeer's girlfriend is pretty much based on Betty Page without it being Betty Page. If you look at those drawings and you look at Betty Page, you might as well slap Betty Page across it, but because they didn't want to pay Betty Page royalties, they didn't reference her as Betty Page. But anyway, this cover is one of the ones that I've been meaning to get to. And my regulars know I'm a big Elvira fan. We recapped her Elvira comic series. We became good friends with writer David Avallone, who's been one of the secret gems in the whole writing community that people need to know about. Dave's writing style has been very, very good. When you read the Elvira comics, it is as if Cassandra Peterson is writing it herself. That's how good David Avallone is. You really do feel like that is Elvira as you go through. And I mentioned that in my review. Well, Dave passed along my message and my review to Elvira, Cassandra Peterson. And I was shocked to get a gift package with Elvira's autographs on a few things, saying thank you for your kind words covering my comic book and Dave's writing. Here is something small to say thank you for your fandom. And I was so stunned. I met Ozzy, I met Metallica, I met all these Harlem Globetrotters. I met so many famous people. And I never really asked for autographs. Or never bought, because I always feel like, if you treat them like a human being, they'll treat you like a human being. If you're a crazy overzealous fan, they may get a little scared. So anyway, I was really happy to get an autograph from Elvira herself. So this book is really, really excellently done. It had the clean and press service. So if you watch that pickup episode when I got this book looked a lot dirtier than what you're seeing right now on the camera. That's because PGX is clean and press service is one of the best ones. I know there's a lot of independent guys that may do a little bit better, but for a company to do it in-house, get the book graded, the whole value of it is so much better than any of the CGC or any grading companies altogether. You're getting the most bang for your buck, and you're getting a properly presented piece of graded comics. So what I like also here, as we look at the front cover, I'm going to flip it in the back with a nice advertisement for the Karate Kid action figure. Maybe a lot of you Gen X kids remember that. I think they had like a karate chop, and I never knew when ninjas came in Karate Kid, but he's fighting ninjas in here. So I guess at one point, he did fight ninjas somewhere. But it's just cool looking at these old comic books and enjoying the advertisements. You don't see that nowadays anymore. That doesn't exist. So it's kind of cool. But I wanted to point out this little addition that they've been doing. They include the imperfections on the top. So it's making good use of this real estate space. With CGC, you have to scan the fucking code and look it up online. It's like, and then EGS, the other company we used to work with in the past, but no longer because the owner, Tony, is a complete dirtbag. But they used to give a certificate that lists all the imperfections. And this is nice because it's all in one location. You see everything that's wrong with the book. It's noted on the top, making good use of that real estate up there. And again, the quality of the grading slab is just like CGC, if not better. It has the ultraviolet protection and everything. But they really did a good job cleaning up this book. Now, what is the grade? The grade is a 6.5. Now, that might be, but let's look at it. My two criteria for books is a nice cover and a nice back cover. If it presents well, that's a win for the book. That's worth keeping and preserving. And that's why these people 9.8 is great, but the probability of getting 9.8, the most bang for the buck is those that are underneath 9.8. There's more chance for growth as time goes on. That you took the time to grade a book that's this, and it will hold its value for the next foreseeable 30, 40 years when it's time that my loved ones get rid of this after I'm 6 feet in the ground. But again, that's the benefit of this. This book skyrocketed in price, and I was kicking myself for not picking up before the Dave Stevens explosion and interest kicked in. I picked up issue 1, issue 2, issue 7 in the House of Mysteries Elvira because I'm a fan. We have a section down there, Elvira section, but I've kind of held off on this one for the longest time, and man, it's one of those covers that I really like. I don't know why I didn't pull the trigger sooner, but once this Dave Stevens, I'm like, fuck, I have to get this thing. So finally, I was able to find a good, that's one thing of making connections in the industry is that people look out for you, and they were willing to sell at price a little bit less. So thanks to that, and I'm finally have this book in my possession, and I am thrilled through the moon. I'm not deterred by the 6.5 because it looks beautiful. I mean, look at it from your view. They're even a little bit closer. And the imperfections are multiple stress lines along the spine, which is expected. Cover and edge wear, dirty back cover. Again, two things that you expect from a book, from a comic book. Those are good wears. There's no rips, no tears, no pages missing, nothing. It's complete, just a good book that's been read and been well taken care of. So this is a win. Elvira House of Mystery, issue number 11 with the Dave Stevens cover. Eat your heart out. Alrighty, so the next book we're going to showcase actually got a lot of bit of comments and buzz when we first unveiled it in our monthly pickup episode. And that is Superman Adventures, issue number 5. Why is this? First of all, this was a very limited run, and this is based off the 90s Superman animated. Batman the animated came out. It was a big hit. Of course, Superman was bound to follow. Now, here's the thing. Harley Quinn debuted in that Batman animated cartoon series. And then her first appearance was Batman Adventures, issue number 11. That was her first comic book appearance. Now, on the Superman side, they tried to do the same thing with character Livewire. Livewire's first appearance is in Batman Adventures, issue number 5. Now, you gotta remember, this was like the Batman Adventures and Superman Adventures comics was mostly geared towards younger readers. So they had a very limited print run. It wouldn't print as much as like the ongoing, the main Superman title. Like the print run was a little bit less. But the fact of the matter is, this character had a same premise as Harley Quinn, but it went at a totally different trajectory than Harley Quinn did. Where Harley Quinn is a mainstay in not only the comics, but in movies now. Livewire never got the same thing. But at the same time, because of that, Livewire's first appearance is starting to be sought out by collectors. So I think that me having the foresight of looking at this and then picking it up is, and again, we got to thank Peter Pan Collectibles for hooking me up with this issue. When he showed me this issue, and it wasn't big dollar value, but now it has increased a lot. And I think Peter Pan, I'm sorry, my friend, but I think he may have regret selling it to me. But again, this is one of the books that unless you know, you're going to just blow right past it. And why it is very important to know a little bit, have like that key collector app. I know Nick, the guy who runs it. Of course, I know Comic Tom and the gang that are kind of like running it. And I know it may sound weird because they're the creators. They benefit from getting more people to use it. I don't. I just use the free side of it, but I use it on my desktop. I don't have the app because I don't need another fucking app. But anyway, it is a good tool to have to look and do research on issues. And I like this cover. It feels like the animated cartoon. And a lot of you millennials, Gen X, we all grew up with this, in that 90s era when, cartoons was really, really like, 80s was amazing. But 90s wasn't so bad after all. It was a little bit finally, not as much in abundance as the 80s was. But what was, like Batman the Animated, DuckTales, all that stuff had X-Men the anime had lasting impact on how things were going from that point forward. So you have to kind of acknowledge that and understand that. And I think that again, this issue was one of the ones that unless you let and it'd be wise for you to do pick it up and put it aside to your because who knows, maybe they will revive this in this whole female centric type of world that we live in. Now, I don't think that they'll have the big, cleavage / lightning bolt. That'd be kind of cool. But again, so the imperfections, 2-inch corner crease on back cover. So that is here. They're saying that there's a fold here, a crease there. So they were able, but they did such a good job with the clean and press. It's barely noticeable. And they pressed the hell out of this book. You could tell. They did a good job with this. So, if that's the only thing, what do you think this book got? It got a 7.0. That's a little bit of disappointment, but at the same time, I put all of those things because of that. This was geared for younger readers. So for one younger reader, one 5-year-old, 6-year-old kid got this, and that's to be expected. Same thing when I say about G.I. Joes. Getting 9.8 G.I. Joes is kind of hard, considering that the most of those books were intended to go to pre-adolescent boys, and boys are not the best with their things. They like to break them, they like to bend them, they like to really give them a tough, thorough, So any of the survivors, you got to expect stuff like this. And I don't feel bad. It is a 7.0, but that's still good. It still holds its value, and it's one of those books that's going to keep going up in value with how scarce this character is being used. And it has that what's the guy's name who created Tim Lyon, the guy who created Batman the Animated Series, but it has that art style from Batman the Animated, Superman Adventures, Justice League Unlimited. It has that art style, and that's what is very, very appealing to me, and just harkens back to those 90s days, like me sitting my little brother here, watch Batman and shut up. Here's a bowl of Cheerios, But this is definitely one I'm glad to have in my collection. So Batman Adventures number 5, book that a lot of people don't forget about, but it's one of those things, if you do, it's a good one to pick up and hold on to. Alrighty. And by the way, it is fucking freezing here in Florida. I mean, I know this sounds like no big deal to you guys in the Northeast or other parts of the Midwest or wherever. We're us Floridians, real Floridians, not the snowbirds or these people that come tourists, but us, anything below 70 it's 55, and I am like this is what I look like. I have 2 layers on, ski hat on. My blood is thinned out, man. So I cannot deal with anything cold. I guess my genetic makeup, we come from a land of tropics, so anything that's cold is unnatural, let's say. So our next book has been hitting. Well, I wish I got this a few months ago when the whole Wolverine Deadpool explosion was happening. But this book, 9.8s were going around $1,000. This is not an old book, it's not even the first solo run, but we're looking at. Let me put the sticker back on. Wolverine issue number 1. This has the John Buscema and Chris Claremont story. So this came out, I think, in 87, 88. So this came out in 1988. We had the Frank Miller series that came out in 81. Frank Miller, Wolverine number 1. That has been like number 1 on the top trending, like probably 2 months before Wolverine and Deadpool, and 2 months. It held that number 1 spot for a long time. And this book, even though it had more print runs or whatever, but it's one of those books that is definitely worth picking up and putting away because of the Claremont. The cover art, Patch is introduced in this. So this is the first Wolverine as Patch. And we saw that in the Deadpool and Wolverine movie, a reference to it. So definitely this is a key and a significant book as far as modern collection. Of course, you got the back cover of it with that kind of like Scarface. Anytime they use this, I think of the Scarface. They copied off the Scarface. A lot of homages were reflective of that Scarface VHS cover sleeve. But again, this is a cool rendering. And this, we have Wolverine number 1. I actually just sold it. It was a 5.5 newsstand, and someone gave me a good offer for it. And those things, like, you always could pick them up. That's the one thing is I've noticed that, hey, maybe it's okay to let go of these certain books, help the shelter out a little bit, because some percentage of my sales goes to the local non-kill animal shelter that I'm very passionate about. I don't do it for monetary gain. I do it to raise some funds for those dogs and cats looking for a home, because I believe that they could save lives, and my cat saved my life. So as my way of honoring her, that's why I do this. So anyway, this is definitely a good book to have. Even if you have kids, if you want to get your kids into the hobby, this is a little bit significant buy-in. You get a raw copy, but it's definitely one to hold on, and it'll always be gaining in value. It may not be like a big. It's like it's like a Toyota Camry. Like it'll keep going. It'll keep going. It won't break any land speed records or anything, but it's steady, and you know that it's going to matriculate at a predictable rate. So it's definitely one, if you have kids and trying to get kids into comic book collecting, I would definitely recommend them picking this up and having them, as they build their portfolio. So it's definitely one to have. So what did we get on this? Oh, let's look back at the imperfections. So it says in the back, multiple minor stress lines along spine and cover wear. That's expected. A book from 1988. What did we get? We got a freaking 9.0. Isn't that great? Yeah, man. I'm pretty stoked about that. That's a good, that's a win, man. And I really do like it. They did a great job with the cleaning. You're going to hear that like a broken record. The in-house PGX clean and press service is one of the best. I know there's a lot of independent people that clean and press books, and that's good for them. But for us that don't have the time, the ability to clean and press our own books, I spend the money, even with home improvement stuff. I rather spend the money, have it done right, than me sitting around figuring out, watching videos on YouTube, and just takes too much time out of the day for me. And with dyslexia, this is another So I rather just pay and have it. But the thing is, prices aren't too bad to get the clean and press, and it's a excellent investment on top of your investment, because you're going to get the best possible grade, and you don't have to worry about it once it's sealed and in case. So it is a no-brainer for me, and I hope it's a no-brainer for you. It is definitely worth the extra $6 an issue to get your books clean and pressed. And they just did such a good job with this book. I'm very, very happy. So 9.0 on that. That's a good one. All right. Now the next book is going in the vault, PC collections. And what I've been kind of alluding to when I talked about the tangible investment aspect of this hobby. I don't like to talk about it because that's not what it's about. But again, it's just part of the nature of the beast. So with that said, I've been keying on some 60s, Spider-Man, like the early, as my regulars have seen in my pickup episodes, picking up some early, 1 to 100 Amazing Spider-Man, even trying to go back in the 60s DCs, so Silver Age, I would say, picking up those types of titles. Now, Batman's tough. Batman is a tough book. Is a tough book to pick up because the newer stuff don't hold the value as good, and the things that are way back in the 60s, the 60s are kind of beaten up, and there's so much stuff there too. So you want to get books that are keys, but all of Batman's keys in this Rose Gallery came before, so there's only a few that get introduced. This one is a big one. We're looking at Batman number 181. Why is this significant? You've seen it in every single YouTube video as far as top 10 Batman keys. This is the first appearance of Poison Ivy. What makes this book even more difficult is that there was a poster in the middle of the issue that a lot of kids took out and hung on their wall. So that would make the book incomplete. So there may be a few of these out there, and you may, that's a price I cannot pass up on. But be careful what you're going to get a purple label, which means incomplete, or green label, one of those fucking colors. But it's an incomplete book because that poster is missing. And of course, it's tough to get, like Joker appeared in Batman number 1. That price is millions. Penguin is another one you should look at, but this is the one, Poison Ivy, the first femme fatale in the Batman Rose Gallery. And I picked up a reissue of this to read. And man, I would say that the early Batman stuff is kind of boring. We're so used to with the art, the writing and everything is more related to that era than our era. We're after the Frank Miller Batman, the Batmans of the 60s kind of pale in comparison. Again, this was also coming during the Batman popular Burt Ward and what's Batman's name? Anyway, the whole Batman TV show was coming out, Adam West. So during the whole Adam West TV thing, the Batman became a little bit more campy, a little more cheesy, before Neil Adams kind of, that we need to make Batman. He doesn't have shark repellent and shit like that. But anyway, that's what makes this book. So this is definitely going in the vault, because I know this book is always it is high right now. And especially the few high grades on this, you're talking about a couple thousands of dollars. So for me to pick this up, again, I got to thank my good friend who lives a few towns over, who was kind of getting rid of his collection. And believe me, I spent a small fortune to make a fortune down the road with this one. So this is definitely a key book. And let's look at the back. Look at that early Mattel advertisement for toys. That's pretty damn cool. So the imperfections are this: multiple creases and stress lines along the spine, significant cover edge spine wear, dirty front cover, dirty back cover, creases. So the clean and press was a very delicate process for this. They had to be very, very careful. And you got to thank PGX for being as careful, because we've been hearing a lot of stuff with CGC books being graded wrong, and making them worse. So it's nice to know that's what you get when you deal with a smaller family company. You get that personal attention that you don't get with the corporation. So PGX told me how they were very careful with this book because they knew the wrong turn or wrong whatever could take this beautiful, complete copy of Batman 181 and basically disaster. So they were very, very, and I appreciate them for doing that. So what did we get on this key book? We got a 2.5, and that is good. Anything in the 60s and stuff like that survive, any survivors, that's what I call this book, a survivor book. It went through the 70s, it went through the 80s, it went through the 90s, it went through the aughts, it went through the aught 10s. Now it's at 2025, and this book is still complete, intact. And that's what makes this book valuable. I mean, this one's we're probably getting close to the $1,000 range with this one. So even in this 2.5 state. So this is definitely going in the vault for another 20, 30 years, protected. God knows how much it will command once it's all said and done. Now, with that same notion, that same thought premises, and as I mentioned, I've been picking up a lot of the not obviously one, but those early ASMs, Amazing Spider-Mans, with the All-Star team, especially All-Star team. When I think of Spider-Man, I think of the artwork of John Romita Sr. John Romita Sr., Stan Lee, that was the team for the old school Batman. I know Ditko was, but at the same time, Ditko was, weird. And he didn't really know how to draw girls really well. It was like he had a handicap. Like, oh my God, I can't draw boobs or something. But he wasn't very good at drawing female characters. So that's why. And I think him and Stan Lee were having issues too, which is what led Steve Ditko to quit and move on and retire for a bit, is just the experience with working with Stan Lee. So we're going to end this pickup episode with another home run. So that Batman 181 is good, but not too far behind Amazing Spider-Man issue number 51. Now, issue number 50 is a key. It's the first appearance of Kingpin. And we know with Daredevil, Born Again around the corner, the guy with Vincent Defoe, is that his name? Vincent D'Onofrio, portraying the character in the MCU, doing it so well. We saw it in that Echo series. We saw it in the Daredevil Netflix series. Vincent D'Onofrio is doing such a good job with this character. He is. I think Vin Rames did it in the Daredevil movies. The guy who was in Armageddon and stuff like that. The Green Mile. That guy's a good actor as well. But Vincent D'Onofrio is Kingpin. He does a very good job. So issue number 50 is the big money book. The prices are, look it up. Amazing Spider-Man 50 is just sky. It's one of those books that you definitely want to have in your collection. If you don't want to spend all that money, but still very, very significant, and I'm talking about this is a very high value book as well. 51 is no slouch. The second appearance of Kingpin. You got the first appearance of John Robertson, Peter, the African-American guy who works at the Daily Bugle. So this is a very significant, not a bad plan B if you're not getting issue number 5151. Here are the notes for this book. So multiple stress lines along the spine cover edge wear. Browning inner cover, minor weak spine. So again, the same thing with the clean and press service. They had to be very careful with this. And I'm glad they do, because this book came out fucking great. It is beautifully done for early ASM. You're talking about 1967. The other one came out, what, 60? Batman came out in 1966. 1967. Wow. So these are very old, and that newspaper print, it deteriorates. That's the whole point. There's carbon in it. Carbon in like our bodies and stuff, it has a shelf life. So, it's reduced now because now it's airtight, sealed, and encased. So this is helping the book stay relevant for many, many, many years. Now that it's protected and nothing will happen to it again. Um, Knock on wood. I do live in Florida, so you got to be careful. And as you saw from our hurricane episodes, shit gets real when that stuff is coming to us. So, you take care of all the important stuff, your family, your food, your provisions. Then at the very end, as you saw in that video, I started turning into the collection. I was like, oh shit. That's when I had to put things high in case of flooding or anything like that. But this is going in the vault because Amazing Spider-Man 51 is a key issue, a lot of significance. Early ASM, this is going to be an investment piece. So the back cover looks good. The clean and press, again, I cannot rave how beautiful this looks in real life. Such a phenomenal job. The yellows, man. Yellows are a good key. Like the brightness of the yellows. Yellow is a difficult color in comic book industry. So what did we get? We got a 6.0. That is freaking amazing. Yeah. I'm pretty stoked. There we go. And you'll see as we go through more unboxings in this upcoming year, how a lot of the ASMs I was targeting and picking up. And I'm glad I did. And I'm glad that these books, I'm kind of concentrating on those more as well as the graded magazine side. I'm kind of concentrating on getting those graded magazines and then key early ASMs, early 60s stuff. I've been kind of going in that direction because I think those are where the monetary investment aspect will hold, like I said, like a Toyota Camry. Nice and reliable, steady. Alrighty, so that does it for that. So that brings us to the end. And we have in the background Mortal Kombat on N64. On the other room, I set up, I got a remote for the Panasonic, the big screen TV. So that is... It's kind of nice having the remote. Then I could tune it now. Because like a lot of you probably remember, a TV repairman would come and tune your TV, especially the Sonys and the Panasonics, to align the cones and rays that are in CRTs to make sure you get the best picture. Unfortunately, the repairmen from back then are either retired or dead. So that's where I have to learn on my own how to service these CRT TV sets. And that is a scary mofo, I'm going to tell you that. Alright, so that does it for that. There's one more thing I wanted to share and discuss with you, and then we'll wrap up with this episode. Alrighty, so the last thing we're going to showcase, even though I've kind of frowned upon G.I. Joe Classifieds lately, I'm not picking up as many. I have issues with Emily and the G.I. Joe team over at Hasbro. I think they're, bunch of buffoons. And also like what's going on with the current climate around G.I. Joe is missing the mark on appealing to a younger generation, a generation full of diversity, of colors, of faiths. G.I. Joe has all the needed ingredients to appeal to this young new demographic. And my big fear, and I've mentioned to my regulars, is that G.I. Joe will die off with the Gen Xer. And that is sad to me. These people are like, celebrating something that's going to die when they die. I would like to see G.I. Joe appeal to a younger generation because there's a lot of good values and morals that G.I. Joe, the Larry Hama G.I. Joe, the Hamaverse kind of showcase. You don't have to be a superhero with superpowers. You could be a good person with good morals and good deeds and contribute to society. That's the essence of G.I. Joe. And I think these fans that are jumping in kind of don't understand that for some reason. Or they, as that Serpentor's Lair, it's a celebration of imagination. Well, everything's a celebration of imagination. That's a stupid argument. G.I. Joe is a celebration of diversity, the human aspect of it. Anyway, So with that aside, I was able to pick up the retro back Cobra Commander. This thing is sold out immediately. I did not think I would get this, but luckily Amazon Prime released a small batch. I guess they got it from Hasbro, so I finally was able to pick up the um, Cobra Commander retro card back. And even though I'm not too keen on classifieds, I like this one. This one's a good representation of Cobra Commander. Of course, the hood thing. I know some people. The hood thing. I agree with Hasbro. I think the hooded thing could have some sinister undertones to it. So it's best not to the hooded Cobra Commander. Even some people say, "Oh, there's nothing wrong with it. It's woke or whatever." It's just common sense, man. It's just human decency. So I'm kind of glad they're sticking with the helmet Cobra Commander. I mean, I really, it could go either way. I really don't care, but I could see why they're not incorporating the hooded version of it. With the KKK undertone and everything, that might not, especially in today's climate. And the thing is that it would make more sense if they appeal to kids too, but they're not doing that at all. But anyway, this is a well done figure, and I do have my 1983 original Cobra Commander. I've shown that in other episodes. My favorite was the black one. That's up there, the version 6, which was more representative of his comic appearance, the Hammerverse. And again, just to show you guys, there's like Cobra Commander, even the dollar store variant, and that's the one, the black, another one I love that Cobra Commander. It's a hooded one, but it's in his all black uniform, which is like that iconic scene with him kicking the dog. It's so bad, but it's funny at the same time that he kicks a little poodle in that issue. I think 100 it is, but yeah. Anyway, going back to this figure. I think it's well done. I like the retro card back versus the regular classified box art to itself. And I'm glad they used the homage to the painted backsplash. That's pretty kind of cool. That it's not the digital one. It's like the artist rendering one. And in the back you have the other that came out in this wave, Cobra Commander, Stalker, and Cobra Trooper. I have so many Cobra Troopers, but I haven't had one. I'm glad that they offer this. This was a variation of I think it came with the Hiss Tank. So the Hiss Tank was more the Mickey Mouse version. It's the same sculpt essentially, but you got the Mickey Mouse logo there. But I think this was the one that I really did want to add to my collection. But once I saw it was sold out everywhere, I was like, I didn't think I'd be able to get it. But Amazon Prime released a small batch of them, so I jumped on that quick because I think it said it had 5 left. So I'm glad to finally add. I think it's nicely done, and I'll probably put him with the retro card back with the Crimson Guard up there on the shelf. Anyway, that does it for this episode. Stay tuned for more graded comic book unboxing. If you have any questions, please leave it down below. I'll do my best to answer them. And remember, this is about fun. It's about enjoying these iconic books. Yes, there is monetary aspect of it, and I say that, but let's not let that take away from what these books represent. They're a big part of our childhood. They are relevant. They teach people between good morals, good versus bad, and I think that's what we need to preserve, to pass down to another generation. Anyway, this is Shibu Are You. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on the next episode.